So this is the video on how to record things and how to play them back. So normally the only time we record is we record the sermon, and also we're starting to record some songs during worship time, and maybe there's a special confirmation or something that someone wants to record just the audio of. Anyways, anytime something is microphoned, you can record it. What you do is you go over here to this section that's user-defined keys, and hopefully these will be typed out eventually. The record button is number 1. The stop recording is number 2. So as something's being said or something's happening up front, all I do is I click record. And just click it once. Okay. Now number 3 will light up to verify that you're actually recording, and I'll explain that in a minute. But so you're recording. It's the end of the sermon and John's wrapping things up, or it's the end of a song, and you want to stop the recording. You stop the recording by pressing number 2. Okay? And at that moment, you notice the red light goes away on number 3. Okay? So boom, right there I have a file that's been magically recorded. How I access that file for either playback or for identification in the USB drive, that's where it's recorded to, is the USB drive. There has to be a USB drive to record something. I go over here and I click the button that says recorder. So I click the button recorder and my screen changes to this thing. Okay? In this screen, it doesn't work quite exactly like the other screens. What you have to do is you have to, instead of using your up, down, right, left, you have to rotate this dial. So as I rotate this dial, you'll see I'm scrolling through things on that list. Okay? So down here, the thing I just recorded, it happens to be the 30th, okay, at 4:09. And at that moment, I now know that it's track number 28 in the USB drive. You can go in and rename this if you'd like by just clicking on it, on the enter button. So I click the enter button, okay, and boom, it magically comes up. And I can clear that. You know, maybe we don't want that whole really long title, so I can clear it. And I can type in the words test, let's say. Now, these buttons that I'm mashing are over here, so when I click down, and then I finally get the letter I want, I have to click enter. So that's how you label the file. So right now it's labeled test, and again I use my directionals to get down to OK. At that moment, it now says test. Now it's not test in the USB drive, which is weird, but it's just test here on the screen. What you have to do is you have to remember track 28 if you're going to take out the USB and put it in a computer. As soon as you put it in the computer, you open up the file that it's in the USB, and how you find that is this is your root right here. Right at the top of this list, it tells you which folder to go into and which secondary folder, etc., etc. Now, so in the songs folder, in the YPE folder, will be all these choices, but they'll only be listed as 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. They won't be listed as their names. So that's for posting the sermon online and things like that. If I want to play back something for a show or for whatever, I select the choice I want. Let's say I want to select, again, you use the directionals to get to that row, and then you have to use the turn dial, which is weird. You have to use the turn dial, basically just use the one that works, to get to where you want to be. So God of Wonder is what we want to play, let's say. Now I click the word enter. So I click my enter, and right now you'll notice that it is playing that song. Now how you play that is slider number 32 from recorder. I just bring that up and I should start hearing that song. So track number 32 is from the recorder, from this screen. Okay, that's how it's set up. Now, button number 3, we talked about that earlier. Button number 3, what that does is it plays and pauses. If you look at the screen, I'm going to press button number 3, and now I'm pausing. I press it again, and now I'm playing again. And what that sounds like, I'm playing, pausing, playing, pausing. That number 3, so you can set up that to play back, you know, hit your enter, goes to the very beginning of that song, and you can pause it so it can be on cue. So, this video is for the recording faction. At the end of all this, you're going to want to hit the home button, because the home button, like we learned in the tricks, is what you want. So during a show or production or whatever, I click the record button, boom, I'm magically recording. And I can verify that again in my recorder setup. In the recorder setup, it should say recording. And it'll tell you how many minutes and hours and seconds you have left to record. And at that moment, see, track 28 is the last one on the list. As soon as I stop my recording, I should now have another thing on the list. Notice how I have another one after the test. Okay? I use my turn dial to select something. I click enter. And I can bring it up on the slider. Okay? After I start playing it. Okay? So, record, stop record, that's how you get things. You got to go look at the number, and you pop out the USB drive.